have been probably aware, municipality and private investors decided to renovate old hospital in the city center, basically, in Antakalnis, and convert it into a prime location for all the startups, venture capital funds, support services, and so she's going to tell what it is about, what's the concept, and what's the status. So, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. A pleasure to be here. To be exact, it's a 19th century hospital, which is really run down, and it has an area of about 8,000 square meters. So there's quite a lot of co-working space and hubs and companies to fill in. Well, it's not a coincidence that I asked about the future of co-working that you see. Because basically, well, we all know that we don't go to co-working for coffee and Wi-Fi because all of us have that at home, right? The reason why we go there is probably the community and the ability to create something new out of combining our talent, our skills, and our experiences, right? But having the idea that co-working is all about community, we at Tech Park strongly believe that it's not only about that I come with idea and you come with idea and we make up something new. We believe that as a community we become stronger and we can use our strength to grow ourselves, to reach our common goals, and to do all the different things that I'm going to talk about in my presentation. And there are 3 more things that I'm going to tell. First of all, the update of the status of Vilnius Tech Park. I know you're all interested in it. Secondly, I'll have a question for you, since I happen to have a room full of creative and inspiring people, so I think there's a lot to discuss. And the last but not least, I'll have a surprise for you, a picture that nobody has saw before except the administration of Vilnius Tech Park. So, yeah, let's start. I'd like to start with the story of Polygon. It's a creative hub, a space in Slovenia, the first one in Slovenia. Some of you might have met Mr. Monika Poškaitytė. He's one of the founders of the space, and he was visiting Vilnius a month ago. He was speaking at the What's Next conference, so maybe you met him. Polygon was established in 2014, and the cool thing about this hub is that it was basically crowdfunded. They had a really strong community, but they didn't have any money. So they crowdfunded all the money that they need. They had somewhat 600 euro for all the furniture, so that's not a lot, right? And they got quite a lot of support from the local community, from society, and what's even more interesting for me when speaking about Polygon is that they brought community not only to create new things, they brought community as a one unified power. So they're working in VC attraction. They managed to organize 123 consultations for startups and creative people, which is quite a lot, having in mind that they've opened only in 2014, right? They are working on policy advocacy in terms of copyright laws in Slovenia, which is quite a lot as well. And they organize quite a lot of events for talent development and talent recruitment and so on and so forth. And this is what I and what Tech Park sees as an additional value of hubs that manage to gather like-minded creative individuals. So do we have a community in Lithuania?
Yes.
Well, one person is not a community. Do we have a community in Lithuania? I mean, come on, guys. Okay, but we think that there are some things lacking for us to grow even further. For us, I mean startups in Vilnius. One of the things is venture capital. Well, that's pretty clear, right? The next one is talent. We had a wonderful first presentation about teaching children to code. So this means that we have to work on recruiting talent, on empowering talent, and on bringing them to startups, obviously. Infrastructure to mature. It's quite widespoken right now that in Lithuania we have quite a lot of young startups, but since we don't have a lot of VC, we need to mature the ones that we have for them to scale and to grow bigger, right? We need common marketing. Me, myself, before starting at Vilnius Tech Park, I was working at Invest Lithuania with PR activities. So one thing I know for sure that being small, and not really special to be honest, Lithuania is not really so interesting internationally. But once we gather all the good cases, all the success stories, once we gather our skills, we can achieve more in common marketing and therefore gain more knowledge around the world. Center of attraction. Well, it's pretty obvious that Vilnius Tech Park is going to become one. Actually, it has already become. We have already received more than 150 applications from startups who want to establish themselves in Vilnius Tech Park. 1 out of 7 around is somebody that haven't been working in Vilnius before, so they're either foreign or from other cities. So this proves that we are already becoming a center of attraction. Now the policy advocacy, as I mentioned, being together we can speak in one voice. Either it is immigration for highly qualified specialists, either it's bitcoins, anything you might think of, anything that startup community needs as a community. Public sector involvement. The same case with immigration procedures. It's quite talked about right now in the media. It seems that public sector still finds it hard to understand how much do we need highly qualified specialists and how much do we need easier procedures for them. So probably we need to go to them and talk to them, and we need connections and we need networks for that. And synergy between startups, VC funds, accelerators, develop startups who could share their knowledge, and so on and so forth. I mean, I think that everybody of you could name this list on and on and on. Now, Vilnius Tech Park is looking to try to solve, or at least attempt to solve, some of these problems. So what's going to happen there? It's, first of all, accelerators, venture capital funds, mature startups, marketing agency, law office, and all the rest under one roof. What does it mean in practice? You get a space, you just work there, go across the park, and you find your lawyers to consult, and you find your, I don't know, marketing agency to consult, or you go to a VC fund and pitch your idea, just like that. Or maybe before that, you go to a more experienced startup and ask what they think about your idea. So this is really simple. Of course, we're going to have conference space for dedicated events to attract new talent, to empower new talent. We're going to have connections with VCs. Actually, we already have somewhat 10 partners from London and Scandinavian countries which are looking forward to the park opening. We're going to have more marketing activities for buildings for startups. Actually, we already have agreements with municipalities to do that together. We already have partners in Enterprise Lithuania and Invest Lithuania to do that together. Therefore, probably we're going to achieve more. Spot of interest, well, I've already mentioned that, right? And public and private partners. As I mentioned, for some goals, especially in terms of policy advocacy, public and private partnership is very important. And when you're bigger, it's easier to achieve these partnerships. And there's going to be more in terms of infrastructure. Here you can see a slide where, I don't know if you can see it there, but basically the first building up there is Tema, then Startup Highway, Practica Capital, gaming site. Also, there's going to be a food lab, Wi-Fi by Theo in all of the buildings, meetups, sports facilities, conference halls, hostel for guests and speakers at the events, and many, many more. So basically, you get all the infrastructure, and we expect that this is the additional value of this hub. And a park, yeah. And there are squirrels in the park as well. I saw them myself. Actually, I have my personal PPI once we moved there to become friends with one of them. Now let's move to the current status. First building is nearly finished. If you go to the park, you can see it. It's light gray. Inside, it's not finished yet. Around 500,000 euros were invested into that one building, so it's pretty expensive. Negotiation with the mayor and negotiation group is done. Probably you read the mayor's Facebook, and he likes the results. We like the results too. The only thing that's left now is the city council vote, which is going to happen next Wednesday on the 2nd of December. So basically, the city council needs to accept all the amendments to the agreement. Once that's done, hopefully that's done, construction works are going to be restarted. Currently, we're planning to open the park in summer 2016, probably that's going to be June. And then there's also a plan to maintain all the park territory. 2016. Okay, and speaking of additional value, I mentioned quite a lot of things. But what we can see when people speak about co-working these days is that it's not only space and not only uniting your abilities. It's also something that might go into cloud, something that might go completely digitalized. I mean, you may sit in Nigeria and still be a part of Vilnius Tech Park. So the question for you is, how do you imagine such possibility, kind of e-residence or e-rent, where you don't have to be physically in the park, but you can still get some benefits? And what benefits would you expect from that? Anyone? Okay, so you have 2 more presentations to think about it, and during the break, I hope that you'll approach me. Because this is a serious idea that I'm currently considering. And if we're going to do that, we're going to need some digital infrastructure to do that as well. Therefore, I'm really looking forward to your advice and your ideas on this. And to end my presentation, this is the first picture of the interior of Vilnius Tech Park. There's more, but we're not showing them yet. You're the first and the only ones, as I mentioned, except administration of Vilnius Tech Park who sees it. So basically, for this to happen, we need a positive vote on the 2nd of December. You can, of course, show your support, and don't forget to catch me on the break and share your ideas about e-residency at Vilnius Tech Park. So thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to share.
Thanks a lot. Did you submit the application to rent out the space already in Sapiegos? No, nobody.
How many spaces do you have? How many startups can you host?
Pardon?
What's the capacity of the building?
The full capacity is more than 700 working places. So I cannot answer if the number of startups, because some of the startups are like 2 people, some of 10 people. You know, it's very different. But in general, it's going to be more than 700.
So how much of that is occupied?
What?
How much of this space is already occupied? I mean, like already pre-booked?
Not much. I mean, you can still apply. Because basically we have applications, but since we started negotiations with the municipality, we basically stopped the process because, you know, you cannot tell people that you're going to be accepted to the park and after a month tell them, you know, maybe next year. So therefore we kind of stopped that. But after the mayor announced that he's satisfied with the results of negotiation, we actually got quite a lot of calls and quite a lot of attention. People asking, like, you know, can I apply now? When are you going to start? What's going to happen? And things like that. So yeah, basically. And the rumor has it that there might be some very little, but still some spaces for free for certain types of startups. But it's only a rumor. I'm not telling you anything. So yeah, so you might want to check your possibilities and follow us to, you know, find out more. Yeah.
What are the plans for private capital? What they are planning to do there, and for company Tema?
Yeah. So what Tema is gonna do there is it's called a Theo Hub. So you all know that Theo is a big company and it's not exactly a startup, right? It's a part of the Senior Group, so it's huge. But basically, their hub is not going to be a building where they move their workers. You know, it's going to be a hub for creative startups that they're going to support. Probably many of you have heard about this tendency around the world that huge companies realize that they're not able to make innovation within their own structure because it's too huge, too slow, and you know it just doesn't move fast enough. So therefore, they establish places like that. Barclays has quite a lot of spaces around the world. I don't remember the exact number, maybe some of you know, but I don't remember, for this purpose. So basically they support startups, they give the space. You develop something, then they probably buy it from you if they like it. So this is something that they're going to do there probably. And practical capital, as you know, it's a venture fund. So it might be, I don't know, you should check that with practical themselves, that they're simply going to provide the spaces for the startups they invest in. Just like Startup Highway. Startup Highway is definitely going to do that. We sign up for sure. So yeah, so you get all and the funding.
Okay, thanks a lot again.